This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So first, anything, planned in the Azure cloud or anywhere, networks will be planned first because network is the first component which will secure the environment. You have to design the network, you have to define the, like a subnet for each project, and you have to define the rules, how they communicate, what to be communicated, what not to be communicated must be defined. Then you deploy the resources. So it has to be planned anyway. So networks must be configured properly to get the more of security to the environment. So that's mandatory thing. So I'm going to create a network, and on top of that, we're going to see that NSGs we're going to create. NSG is something is called central firewall in the cloud, and every subnet will have one NSG. It's a minimum. So sample VNet, just I'm making a name like that, and IP address. This is a default IP address it will pick up, which is in A class. We discussed different class IPs, right? Three classes IPs. So I can take a 10.3.0.0/16. It's also a private IP address, right? 10.2, 10.255 up to 10 series comes in the A class. 172 to 172.16 to 17.31 comes B class. C class you have only one, 192.168. One that class of IPs. You have to pick up between these only. You should not go out of bound of this IP, so you'll not see any issues. So 10.3.0.0, you can pick up that itself as the first subnet, and I can take the second subnet, 1.0/24. Even 0 also can take it. I'm taking 1.0, next subnet in that. I'm going to create one more subnet, subnet 2. Then I'm going to make 10.3.2.0/24. We are creating two subnets, one network. That's enough for us. Follow this very carefully here today. This is something kind of conclusion for us. Right. So now I'm going to create NSGs, central NSGs, network security groups. Right, here it is. So we have touch base in a lot of services. See, guys, not only SQL. If you look at, we have touch base just story account. I'll talk about after networking anyway. We talked about public IP, snapshot, disks, and images and virtual networks. So slowly we will cover a lot of services. So just when we are practicing, when we are doing it, you have to just get your hands dirty on each one so that you get an idea what each service mean for us. We don't work on all the services, but you need to have an idea as a cloud engineer, whoever, wherever you work. That's the expectation. That's the reason we're going to discuss all of this. Subnet to one NSG, and wherever you have the network, there only it should create. It's a region specific. One region network cannot be used in another region. Networks are region specific. This word is very, very important. Okay. Networks cannot be used cross region. One network absolutely limited to one region only. Keep in mind. Subnet to energy. We are creating energy. You can see that create network security group. We are creating two security groups, and I'm going to attach this security group, and I'll manage entire communication through the NSGs only. I don't go to VMs anymore. In the last class, we were doing through the VMs, but not anymore today. If I go to the networks, okay, in the networks, we have two subnets. You can see that You can, if you want to keep adding some more subnet, you can add it from here. You can create subnet, add the subnet. It will going to create and add up the next extra subnet whatever we wanted. Now what I'm going to do, I created two NSG groups, right? One still doing the job. Anyway, that will come up. So we created two sub NSGs. So now we have to associate this NSGs with the subnets. This is a hierarchy you have to do it. You NSG subnet one NSG and save. That's it. Just you have to tag it. Whatever you define in the subnet, it will apply to entire subnet. The whatever you define in the network security group, it apply to entire subnet. You know, you go to every VM. This subnet 2 because the subnet 2 energy I built it, right? So now everything will be controlled through NSG only on entire subnets. You have to define the rules inside the NSG. Now you have inbound and outbound. You have to control everything from here itself, not on the VMs anymore. Whatever you do here, it applies to all the VMs of that subnet by default. You don't need to worry about. Don't go to any VM. In the real time, going to every VM and working on the rule set is very difficult. So it's not possible thing. That's the reason this is called central energies. Using the central energies, you can achieve anything that you wanted. We're going to see that anyway. Now I'm going to deploy the VMs. SQL VM01 again, and to the 19, 2 CPs, 4 GB RAM, which is fine for us. If you have a free subscription, go with 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM. You can consume only 4 CPs maximum with the free subscription. If you wanted to do this, you can do it, not an issue. With a free subscription also, but you have to create with 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM because you need 3 machines at least to practice this, right? I'm going with the none. You never go with the allow any port in the real time. All the time, none only. We never choose allow anything. That is the default behavior. Okay. Then you allow from the energy, everything, whatever you wanted. So always go with the none. Right. We created sample VNet and then one subnet right now, and public IP is required for today also. We don't need NSG, it is none. Why? Because the selected subnet is already associated to network security group. We recommend managing the connectivity to this virtual machine using the existing the network security group instead of creating a new one. You don't need it because this got us the energy already in the background. We tagged it. We created, we tagged it. So the entire communication to this VM will be controlled through backend energy itself. That is what it is saying. Accelerated networking is only available for large machine. Load balancing is tomorrow topic. We'll see. Entire class is on the load balancing anyway. The same thing, like you had enabled with the server account, the rest will be discussed. I quickly create two more machines and then go with the practicals. You have to wait till it goes installation, submission at least. Then click on the virtual machine. Before that, if you do click, your action will be discarded. So that also there. We have seen that once. Networking, sample VNet and subnet one of course, and public IP is required. Let's create this. Tomorrow, without the, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will see VPN. How we can really form the VPN with the infrastructures. Our own VPN. We can create it actually. I'll talk about all the steps anyway. Do we create a VPN? Never. But why we are discussing how VPN really works. The flow of activity. how the environments are protected. You need to know that. It's not just the see guys, we are touch basing all the things because we need to know them. As a DBA also, we need to aware of them. That's where you get the more of understanding. An architect down the line. The role of architect, you need to know everything, not only see, the product, whatever it is searching in the background, you need to aware of. That's where you will become an architect. So if you stick to the product, you will be just a technician, not an architect. So slowly you have to diversify yourself. It's mandatory. That's how the real world of careers will work actually. If you stick to one thing, you'll be there only. Slowly add things into your portfolio, guys. That's what is something you have to do. Nowadays, things are changing rapidly. We have to keep learning at least for a few years. Then you don't get outdated. That's the big point you have to catch here. Things will, you'll, if you keep, don't learn something, you'll be behind yours. You're keeping yourself behind other people. Nowadays, things are changing very rapidly. For developers, they have to learn throughout their life. At least for DBA, like you don't need to learn too many things. For developers, is something every day new thing will come. So that is there is a huge challenge anyway. So this won't connect, guys, because we did not open the port yet. So I intentionally did not open, and we'll see this. I did not open the port on all VMs anyway. It won't connect because we are not authorized to make a connection on the RDB port. If you go to the VM virtual machine, there is no port. So now I'll go to the NSG and I'll define a rule. And this rule applies to both the VMs. If you go to the VMs, guys, quickly, if I go to the VM01 and networking, you don't find that rule, RDP rule to talk to the VM. Not only on this one also. You don't have it on both the VMs. Now, if I go and apply on the NSG, it applies to both the VMs. That concludes that whatever you do here, it applies to all the VMs that the subnet is associated. I'm creating a rule anyone should connect on the RDP port. I'm allowing with the priority 100. Let it be the value of that. I'll ask a lot of questions today. So now I created a port in the NSG, subnet 1 NSG. This rule applies to both of the VMs, not only both of the VM, all the VMs that are part of the subnet 1. So now subnet 1, right now we have two machines, and you go and verify NSG is applied here. See, 338, and not only here, it applied here also. See, here also applied. But where did I apply this rule? I applied in the NSG, in the inbound. That is appended to every VM. Now we have only two as of now. That's why I'm showing two. But in the real world, you'll have hundreds of machines. Like you can go up to 251 machines in a single subnet. So all this rule applies to everywhere. So I have to add the same rule to the subnet 2 as well using the subnet to NSG, any, and RDP, and let that be priority 100. Now I can connect to all the VMs. Where did I add the rules? I added in the NSGs, security groups. I did not add on the VMs. So this way, things will work. You guys catching it? Tell, tell me, guys.
Yes.
Simple correlation. You have to follow it. It's not tough anyway to follow. See, Azure actually given a lot of exposure to product guys. That's a great thing, I would say. Cloud is given great exposure because You can see all services. You can manage even if you get to know. That's something, can be done in the cloud, not in the on-prem. On-prem, we have different tools to manage. So the tools you will definitely you don't get the exposure. But in the cloud, it is a one blade where you can work everything. That's where we got the good exposure, exposure to all services that you have. Right. We were able to talk all the three VMs. Let this get loaded and we'll verify the IPs and break from the communications. So when this is getting loaded, let's build the diagram quickly. Because if I talk through the diagram, you will easily follow. So we created two subnets, two VMs here, one VM here. VNet 10.3.0.0/16 subnet 1 10.3.1.0/24 and here subnet 2 10 dot sorry 10.3.2.0 what we have defined, right, /24, and this will be SQL VM01, SQL VM02, SQL VM03. This IP will be definitely 10.3.1.4. That's how it is. 10.3.1.5. This 10.3.1.5. Here 10.3.2.4. This is how it is, right? Let's verify very quickly and then we start the scenarios. IP config 10.3.1.4. It's taking to load. 10.3.1.5 and the other one should be 10.3.2.4. The assignment will be done by the internal DHCP by the cloud. You don't have to worry about the sequence of order. It will take care. Uh, 10.3.2.4. Right. So now what we're going to do, I wanted to break the communication. These two should not talk to this subnet. Not I'm talking about the VM here. This subnet should not talk to this subnet. So right now, if I go and verify before and after, let's check that. It's not about the VMs anymore. 10.3.2.5. It will reach. Sorry, it should be 2.4 because we don't have 5 there. It is reaching. It is reaching. And if you go back to this one also, it will reach that machine in that subnet. Different subnet I'm talking actually. 10.3.2.4. It will reach anyway. Now I wanted to break this communication on the entire VM set. You have 251 machines in this maximum, 251 machines. In 251 machines, all of the VM should not communicate this subnet VMs. Not only this VM, you have here also 251 VMs. All VMs should not be communicated on the RDP. So how do I define a role? I have to go to NSG. You have to go to the target all the time. Where this is an outbound for this one, this is inbound for this subnet. So go to the target subnet, so target NSG, and then define a role in the inbound. Okay, we are defining a inbound role. Add. What is the rule I'm adding? IP address. The IP address whichever is coming from 10.3.1.0/24. We are blocking the entire subnet here. Okay, not the particular IP. So where it has to be blocked on the RDP, and I'm denying it, and with 110 priority. You have to tell me that what happens if I add the rule like this. I denied this network with a 110 priority. Will it
It,
deny or it won't deny?
it will allow.
It will
Oh, it
allow.
will allow. Very good. You guys are very good actually if you say that one. Why it will allow?
Because the priority is 100.
That's very good answer.
Yeah,
Priority
that
100
is
is giving the connection to everyone. This is something, it won't reach the rule. Why? Because the rules will validate it lower priority to higher priority. When the rule is matched, that's where the rule run will end. It does not go further to validate anymore. One rule it is matched. Even the further rules are there which are going to block that connection, but it doesn't matter. Why? Because the rule run will end where it is matched. So it is matching on the first itself on the lowest priority. So if you go and talk to the VM, it still communicate because that is not actually reaching it. So now what I have to do, I have to make this value to some other value. Maybe I'll
lower.
make it
Lower.
150 something,
Yeah.
120.
higher value. Follow this. We are going to run a lot of scenarios here. Right. You see this one? Now if I go back and try to make a connection, both the VMs denied, not one, because we blocked the subnet, not the VM. If I go and do, you have to wait for a, like few seconds if it is working. The rule, all right, it started. So 10.3.2.4 is not anymore communicatable because of the rule that we created. So now if I try to hit it again, it won't. But whereas if I come to this side, if I come to this side, if I wanted to do the MSDSC to other side, yes, I can do it. It's a one-way block. I mean, from the subnet 2 to subnet VM to subnet VM1, we did not define anything to block. So 10.3.1.4, it will communicate in the reverse order. So what I'm trying to say, here we block this one, but we did not block this direction. That is what I'm testing now. So you see this 1.4 is working, even 1.5 also will work. Absolutely. See this? So now if I wanted to block this side also, I have to come to here and define a rule. So that also let's do it. And then we will play in detail of it. So now I'll go to the NSGs, subnet 2, inbound. I'm collapsing. This is a collapse. You are getting this, arrows, small arrows. You can expand further again and collapse. Just for the better visibility, I'm collapsing anyway. Right. I'm adding another rule here saying that 10 dot 3 dot 1 dot 0. We are on which one subnet, right? 10 dot 0. 1 0 should not work on that one. Okay. See here, what we are trying to do, we are defining a role on the inbound of this, where I'm doing it actually, and the NSG2. No, I should do it
In
on the
should
NSG1.
do it in one.
Yeah, that's correct. So here I'm going to block 10 dot 3 dot 2 dot 0 slash 24 on the RDP port. Right, right.
Deny.
Yeah, I have to deny. That's correct. I have to deny this. And actually, the same thing is going to happen here also. The 100 priority is going to allows the this VM to communicate, but we have to make the priority number to higher number. We still communicate. It's possible because of the rule, that rule first rule exists. So what is the port range it can accept to keep the priority, sorry, the priority number? It can start with 100. If I go with the 5000 as in my case, the value should be 100 to 4096, these priority numbers. So it has to be in between that. It should not go above the boundary. 100 to, this is also interview question, exam question also. What is the priority numbers allowed in the cloud in the NSG? So it will be between 100 to 4096. Keep in mind that number is important. So as this role is in the first place to validate, then I'm going to go and make communication. It won't make the communication. You have to wait 30 seconds to take that into effect. Don't conclude instantly, because one, yeah, it's correct only. You have to wait. What IP we blocked? It is 2.0. Come on. What does the mistake have done?
It's one.
The
Have given
one.
the same IP. It's the one.
Subnet thing went down.
It's we need to give on the subnet.
You need to put one there.
Yeah. So
3.1.
if you look at here, where we blocked this one and the
In the
subnet one.
subnet one.
If you go to here, what we blocked here and this one, do not to communicate. It's a 1.0. So actually we are coming in this direction, right? And this interface we have to block 2.0 itself, of course. It should work actually. And the one, it has to be 2.0 only what we need to block. That's correct only. 2.0. It's correct. Why it is not still working? Okay, it is working fine now. Right. So now if I go back and 1.4 also, it won't communicate. Now let's go with exceptions. Exceptions, something you define a project and you broke the communications because of the business requirements. They see this VM will not talk to this VM, this VM will not talk to this VM. Not only VM, the entire VM set, 251 VMs will not talk to other 251 VMs in both the directions. Now we have to create the exceptions. Maybe SQL VM01 should talk to here this way, and this one should talk to this way because of the data dependency on the database side, but the rest should not talk. That comes under exceptions. So when they need and they can provide the business justification that has to be communicated explicitly, that's where the rule will come again into the picture. So we block the entire VMs, but I wanted to open particular VM to VM communication. So we are in the subnet 1. I wanted to open the communication between 2.4. Okay. And again, I don't want the, see, let me tell you this. I'm creating a rule. Okay. 2.0 is coming with 110. Okay, let me create anyway. So I'm creating a rule and the NSG one. Let's do this. This is something very good idea. It will give it to you. I'm intentionally doing this anyway. 2.4. Okay. And here I'm going to pick up the, we have to do something extra here, but I'm skipping that for now. I want it to allow, right? With the, let it be 160. I'll ask the question, what happens, kind of. Look at the rule, and if you can answer, then you are good at reading the rules. So we are allowing with 2.4. Will it be allowed?
No.
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 Right. Why it is no?
Priority number
110
should
is
be less. Yeah.
one. It
110, it
blocks.
will take
110
110
will block.
and it will not read the other.
Right. So where do I have to place this rule
Uh,
to exactly
100.
reach that?
Before
100.
Not
110.
110, not before 110.
Right. Very good. That's something good. So now if I go with the 100, that is going to work at least. So now I'm going making it 100. Very good. If you are catching this, you're good at reading the rules. This is how you have to develop your habit, guys. Right. This got an exception now because it went to the top, right? And this is denying everything except that one 2.4. So now this 2.4 will communicate both of the VMs because it is going to talk to the entire subnet now. This is not the intention basically for us. If I go to 1.4, it will communicate. 1.5 also it will communicate. This is not the intention to open the communication. One VM talking to all 255 VMs now actually. This is not the intention. The intention is to open the communication between this VM to this VM only. That's where this come into picture. The actual discussions will come into picture. Now 1.5 is talking, 1.4 also we are talking because we opened the communication to entire subnet with that VM. This VM will talk to all the VMs on the target subnet because it did not give the filter. So now I'm going to provide the filter. It has to, source is this, and destination also I'm giving this time. So port range, it can come with anything, doesn't matter. Destination also I'm going to give talk to only this IP 10.3.1.4 only, don't talk to 5. We are giving 2.4 should talk to 1.4, that's it. So only communication will be formed between these two IPs, nothing else. Other IPs won't communicate. This is how you have to define source and target both. This way exceptions will be created, guys, on the specific machines, not on all. So first case is very dangerous, but this case is actually this IP will talk to this IP only on the destination side. On the destination side, you can go up to 1.4 to 1.254, 251 IPs you can farm, but we are not opening the communication to all. We are opening between 2.4 to 1.4. Now let's check this. So it should talk to 1.4 but not to 1.5. 1.4 it should talk, but 1.5 it should not talk. Not only 1.5, all 1. Other IPs. It should not. It takes some time. Just wait for it to take into effect. So in the background, when you change the rule, you have to just give at least 30 seconds or in a worst case, 1 minute. It takes some time to take that rule into effect. See, it started. You only can make a communication 2.4 to 1.4 now. That's how you define a rule. I guess you guys following. Yes
yeah.
or no?
Yes.
So this is how things works, guys. You have to be very, very, very careful on these things. So 1.5 won't work, but 1.4 it will work. Now I'll ask one more question. Anyway, it won't communicate for sure. Is it possible to, remove the communication between the two VMs within the same subnet? 1.4 to 1.5 don't want to make communication.
I think
What do you
it's
think?
yes. Yeah, we can. We can.
Yes, you can do that. That's what the energy means. Energy is something which will control everything what you wanted. You just need to have a thought. The thought should be clear anyway. It can be within the subnet, it can be target subnets, can be different networks, anywhere, anything can be blocked. You just need to know the actual requirement. So now I'm going to let's check the communication first before and after. So I don't want to talk 1.5, 1.4 to 1.5. So 1.5, if I'm trying to make a communication RDP, this is 1.4, you can see that. Sorry, SQL VM01 and 5 is a SQL VM02. It is loading the RDP. I don't want this within the subnet itself. I want it to isolate some machines. You have the full granularity of control here. You just have to be clear what you want it to. I'm going to define source IP 10.2.1.4 should not talk to 10.2.1.5 within the subnets. I'm denying it and the port of RDP, denying it. Again, if I keep it 160, you have to just tell me where it has to be placed. Then I can clearly see where it has to be placed. Between what number it has to be placed to deny.
Below 150.
Below?
Below 110. 110.
Below 110, that's correct. 150, we are already 150, so below 110 we have to place. That's very good answer. So now I'll go and make this to 120. Then let's see what happens. Right. If you look at this one, this happened. Now, this, if you see here, how do you read the rule is the next important topic for us. These are all dealing with the 3389 only. But which one will be validated when? So we are talking about 1.4 traffic. 1.4 traffic is blocked here. This is not at all talking about the source 1.4. Here it is not 1.4. It will reach straight away. No issues. Because 1.4 in the two rules, it's not talking about 1.4 route traffic at all in the source. So it will reach straight away. 120 is okay to have it. So 1.4 will reach. So 1.4 should not talk to 1.5 anymore if the rule is took into effect in the background. It takes some time. You have to wait for, come on. Don't conclude instantly, at least in a worst case, 1 minute. 1 minute is the maximum it can take. It won't take beyond that anyway. Come on. Still not take into effect. It will take into effect at any moment. That's why I'm keep hitting it. Let's revisit. Source is this. This next one. The rule is correct. It should reach. There is no issue with the rule. Only it has to take into effect. Oh, what the heck I'm doing? I have to make here 2. 3 only, sorry. It's network. So 1.5 correct only, right? What I'm trying to do. It's correct only. It's gonna take this long. Come on, please. Uh, 120, 3389 is correct. One dot. What is wrong I did? I did it wrong. I mentioned 2.4, 2.4, but we are in the network of 3 dot. Come on, not this one. Look at this one. I went with the 2. 2 doesn't make sense there anyway. Why it is? I wondered why it was not working. Kind of. Anyway, so the mistake we have done was a different source and different target. So that was not taken to. I mean, it is there, but that networks we don't have it. 3.1.4 and 3.1.5. This is the correct one. Now it should block. Yeah, someone not on mute. Wait, it will definitely work this time. Come on, please. Hmm. There is no issue with the rule. It should work. Right, started. So this way you can actually block anyone. Absolutely block anyone. Open anyone, whatever you wanted. So it is fully manageable from here, guys. Absolutely you wanted to manage. So here I can manage everyone's connection on the entire subnet. Now to see this is look at, I'll give two IPs. Try to hit both of them. VM01. I'll block all of you with one rule on two VMs at a time. Hit both of these IPs and tell me that you are able to launch the RDP session or not. Both of the IPs quickly, all of you. Quickly, you can just paste yes or no in the chat. That also fine. Both of the IPs you can communicate. It will launch the RDP. Check out.
Yes, it's launching, Aravind.
Yeah, for everyone quickly because I'm going to block everyone with one rule on both the VMs. Right, everyone. That's enough at least. So thanks for the response. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into NSG and click on this and the inbound. Let's make better. Now, what I'm going to do, if you look at this rule, this rule exists on all the VMs now. It is central. Where what we are playing is central rule. So now I'm going to go and change it to my IP only for now. This is my current IP. I'm changing it to particular IP of mine to make a RDP connection from the external world. Right? I'm saving it. So now you all of you not able to or should not communicate with both of the IPs at a time. Why? Because I defined in the NSG and only one IP should communicate. So this applies to all the VMs of that NSG and that subnet where it is associated. So this is what is a controlling communication with a central firewall. NSG is like a central firewall. If you apply here, it will apply to every VM. And both the VMs should not be communicated to you, all of you. Just wait for a few more seconds and try it. Both should not work for you. It only should work for me, not for all. Okay. Just give a few seconds and hit it now. Hit it now and just verify. If it is still working, just give a few more seconds. It should not work for all of you except me.
So in the destination, you just go in your public IP so that only you can connect, right? So if you give,
Source, I mean, I'm allowing this only this source to talk to this network. And the network
okay,
side, any of the machine, I don't care about. If I wanted to restrict this public IP connection on that subnet, one machine I can restrict. I cannot talk to one machine, but I can talk to other machine. One specific machine only. It comes that way. It's not connecting. Yes, it should not connect to both the VMs, not one, basically. Check it out. So this is what you need to understand. NSG is something a central firewall. NSG is like a central firewall. You can control with a single click entire communication of all the VMs. That's how it can be done. You cannot go to every VM and do the changes. It is not possible. There are hundreds and thousands of VMs in the real time. That's not possible. You have to control through the central firewall, central kind of thing. So this is how things will be controlled. You have to your traffic will be protected through the NSG. This is not hackable at all, basically, and no one can hack it. Anyway, you should not open the communication to public IPs, as simple as it is, right? Should not open it. So generally we don't open in the real world. If they are opening, they have to have a proper restrictions around where it has to reach, kind of, right? This is something you need to understand. Now the energy is clear, right? Inbound part, everyone.
Yes.
Say something. Now let's go to the VMs, guys. VMs by default access the internet by default.
Ravindra,
Even
I have one question.
yeah, go ahead, please.
In real time, like somewhere like from web server to DB server or app server, they'll give a certain period of time for the communication. Can we
Hmm.
manage this one here?
You mean to say the timer?
Like, yeah, like for the communication purpose, they only give us some certain time, like after the business hours.
No, no, no. There is no timer kind of thing here. It's a rule is rule. Timer is not available in the Azure Cloud rule set. Maybe they have to run a script open and then disable it in the night only through the script, not
In
by
my
default a timer.
in my network, like from AD server to web server, it will be in a DMZ zone, so they don't allow the AD ports. So they'll give the only
Hmm.
time for the just for the 1 hour 15 to create the profile.
I understand. When they run that, they have a script to open. When it is closed, then they have a script to close it also. Script, not a timer on the rule set. Rule set, you don't have a timer, but you have to add a script extra to that. When it is triggering, it has to open and run. When it is has to close that communication, also they have a script to close. That way it should be. Right. So what I was trying to talk, inbound is this is all about inbound, guys. Let's go to the outbound kind of thing. If you go to the settings here, and if it's say if you look at this, anything, in fact, outbound, there is outbound rules also very important to understand. What exactly the outbound? Outbound means this VM is going out. Where it is going out? It can go out anywhere. I don't. We are controlling inbound of everywhere so far. Outbound, it can go to any machine and then talk, right? It is possible. Anyway, this cannot go to this and talk to this one because inbound of this energy we blocked it. But what about the others or any internet connectivity? So in the outbound also we can control what we don't want. Example, I'm trying to access a Google. Sorry, I should just close this off and then just try to follow. Now I can even open my Gmail here in the server. Is it actually okay to open the Gmail in the server? And it deals with very sensitive data, and like you wanted to block entire internet access to anyone. No one should access internet from the server. Nothing should be downloaded. Nothing should be uploaded. Nothing can be accessed. Not only on this VM, the entire subnet, this entire subnet VM should not access the internet. I'm okay with this because this deals with the loss of sensitive data, kind of whatsoever. I wanted to block the entire internet and entire server list. So what should I do for that? Because if you come on, I'll verify before and after so that you get a point what I'm trying to talk. IE enhanced security configuration. This is going to actually it will let you to access, but every time it will just ask you the unauthorized site to reach, kind of. So that we don't want. So I just wanted to disable that and then close this off. Sorry guys, and reopen. So now here what we're going to do, we're going to check the communication. Anyway, Google. I can reach Google, I can reach anything, of course, but what it is going through, that is important for us. It is going to through the HTTPS call. And if you go to the Gmail also, Gmail, if you wanted to go to Gmail, the Gmail also operates with the HTTPS protocol, right? Absolutely. If I click on the sign in, it is taking me to this here. I can give my email ID and log in. But which protocol it is going through, that's important for us to understand. So it is going through the HTTPS. I wanted to block the entire HTTPS, not to go out of the any of the VM. All of these VMs should not go out using the HTTPS protocol. I wanted to block it. Go to add, and here I'm giving the entire subnet like 10.3.1.0/24. Okay, entire subnet should not go on the HTTPS site. Here it is. I'm denying the communication. That can be anything, doesn't matter. On the source side, this one, on the destination side, it can be anything, whichever is serving the HTTP service. This IP should not reach the HTTP service outside at all. It is an outbound rule what we are making. It should not, this entire VM sets like 1.0 or 1.IPs, whatever it comes, it should not go out and reach the HTTPS sites at all. So priority 160 is fine, not an issue. It's an outbound, it will reach. So this source should not go and make a call on the port HTTP 443, whoever is giving the HTTP services outside. Now if I go back and verify, both the VMs should not access the internet anymore if that rule is took into effect. It is spinning the wheel. That means the rule is started. If I go to here, refresh, if it is not working, anyway, it is spinning the wheel. It's not load. This is a cached page, but it will throw the error. Come on, how long it takes to? Right, see here, page cannot be reached anymore. Why? Because you block the entire communication to not to go to an HTTP site. So gmail.com. Now if I try to reach one, it won't reach because Gmail listens on the HTTPS. You cannot reach any service on the HTTPS. Sorry. Right? It is not reaching because we blocked it. Not only from this VM, you cannot even reach from the other VM also, entire. Because we blocked the entire subnet level.
I think port 80 we cannot block since we are using Azure, correct?
Which one?
Port 880.
We can, why not?
And how can we use Azure? Because we are in the portal, no? Internet has to be there.
We can access the VM, right? VM should not access the portal, but you can access the VM. That's enough for us.
Okay.
Actually, I had to close and reopen because it's loading that cached page. It should not reach any HTTPS site. Right. You see this? So now I wanted to block. Next thing is HTTP also. Let's go with the sample HTTP sites. Okay, we have this. This is one of the HTTP site. You can see that HTTP. I'll pick up this. I'll try to access because you did not block the HTTP, right? I can absolutely access HTTP sites from the VM, from both the VMs, in fact. Why? Because we did not stop the HTTPS traffic to go out, right? Now I have to define one more outbound rule to not to go to that HTTP also. 10.3.1.0/24 should not hit any HTTP site outside. So with this, you're blocking the entire what browser-based communications from the entire VM set. Oh, I did allowed. Come on. So this won't make a web call as long as targets are listening on the port and 80 and 443. If they are listening with a different port, they will communicate. That is also there. You have to be careful. Some target service is listening with a different port. Yes, you have to consider that port to block because you're blocking the 80 means it is going to block 80 only. Someone is making the HTTP calls on different port, it will make the communication. It is actually blocking based on the port, basically. Okay, so that is there. So now if I go back and access this thing, it should not be accessible. Yeah, it's spinning the wheel. See, if it is started spinning the wheel means it's almost not able to reach. Right. See, this way you can control inbound, outbound traffic as you wanted. It is absolutely under our control. We don't define the role as a SQL DBA, but how things work, you need to know. That is a major part of discussion. What I wanted to make. See, if someone asks you that this VM is not doing so on the communication wise, someone asks you that, you can tell them it won't because the rules does not exist to allow or to block anything. You can read yourself. I read myself, guys. Someone says that this VM is not able to talk to that VM. Yes, it won't talk because there is no communication formed in terms of rules. So go to the networking team and ask them to open the communication for this particular service. That way, even I can tell them because I know how to read the rules now. So that way it is. It takes little experience to develop that true habit, reading the rules and then communicating to them. But anyway, try to pick up that habit. Okay, don't be blind on this.
If you want to block only particular site like Gmail, we
Uh,
need to give the link or we need to give the port number, default port number of Gmail. Is
Port
there
number
anything
you
like
can
that?
give. You can give it
Okay.
port number. Destination should not reach that way. There is something you are also. They will block it. Actually, I did not add work on that level. Basically, I only know that port level communications at the moment. URL level also they do block, but I'm not sure how do they block it. Natural network, no.
For
Application group.
Gmail 993 port number, I think. With that, we can block.
Gmail is something 583, I guess. Gmail port number.
Yeah, 587 like that it is, I think. Not sure.
Gmail port number. 587. Yeah, you have to block all of these ports where it is communicating. That's it.
Okay.
That way it will be rejected. So anyway, you block the entire HTTPS, so that doesn't make sense anymore. Why? Because you wanted to specifically block that one, then you can go and make that as port number to be blocked. But we block the entire HTTPS. That nowhere into the picture now.
Yeah, generally, in our companies, they used to block Gmail like that. Something sites they used to block. Other than that, Google, everything they used to give access. That is the reason.
I
I
understand.
just want to
Yeah,
check.
right. So generally, you don't go that far as a DBA. We will
Yeah,
only
yeah,
talk about the communication, so on the ports especially. But I have an idea.
yeah.
Yes. You just need to block the target ports on what port it is listening on, basically, if you wanted to. So instead of this one, you can block only the Gmail by using the port, that Gmail port server. That's it. This will not reach that port anymore. That way it is.
Okay.
Whoever giving the service on that port, that will not reachable anymore from the entire network. Okay.
Yes.
You can create a lot of things here, guys. Do I have to create two rules here to make it happen that way? Not required all the time. You go to the outbound, I created two rules. Does it really require two rules here to make it? Basically, I don't need it actually. If I go to here, I can make a custom. You have the something called custom, where here, where it was, there's something called, here it is, right? I can go with the comma 80. With a single rule, I can block both. I don't need this rule anymore. It is possible because we wanted to block multiple ports, right? In that case, you can go with a single rule. I don't need this rule anymore. It is possible. One rule blocks both services. So it won't let. All right, it is loaded through the cache for sure. If it is loaded means not loaded. Come on. It's loading from the cache actually. If it is not, I'm pasting it, it is loading just because of it is cached. The heck? I cannot go to the settings, internet options, browsing history. I wanted to delete the history. Apply. Now it should not accessible anymore. Close this off and reopen. Cache. I cleared the cache. Now it should not open. No more cache. So it won't reach. So this way, with a single rule, we block both the internet communication, right? So we can block like this also. In a single rule, place multiple ports for the particular network. You get this. So this way you can do it. If at all you wanted to create less rules with more ports in a single rule, yes, it is possible. Is it clear now? I'll move to the different level. We have some more topics to discuss in the networking side.
Yes.
Everybody clear on this now?
Yes.
Okay, let's create a network in the US region. It's in India. Now, how do we form the communication between the private networks, secure channels? So let's do that. I'm going to go in East US this time. And what we can call this VNet, practice VNet, whatever it is, or else VNet 2, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Now I'm going to pick up a different class here, 172.22.0.0/16. I'm going to create one subnet into it. Subnet, come on, subnet 4, whatever it is, name can be anything, doesn't matter. 172.22.2 and 3.0/24, different network, different subnet altogether, right? Create this. Now I'll deploy a VM into that network and see, by default there is no network level communications, guys. Okay, let's get clean. right? So if you look at this, I'm creating one more network, which is actually in East US. And this is in West India, right? So now we created a subnet and I'm going to create a VM. So this network won't talk by default. There is no communication between the VNets, right? So 172.22.0.0/16 is a network, and subnet 4 we made intentionally. 172.22.3.0/24, and this is something I have to create now. So I'll create a virtual machine. This is the end of the story and the NSG. VM04, and I'm going to choose East US to claim that network, else I cannot claim East US, this one. So you have to practice all of this, guys. If you get your hands dirty on all this, you understand a lot of things when you start working, seriously. So none. I have to create NSG also, one more NSG and attach. Before I do this, I wanted to create NSG, sorry. I have to create that mandatorily. NSG name, subnet 3 NSG. It must be created in East US only, because NSG and network should be in the same region to attach. Yeah, it is deployed. Come on. All right, it is created, right? Now I'll go to the networks. I'm going to claim that NSG. Now I'll deploy the VM. The same thing what we did for previous case. Scale VM 03 R4 it is. You never open any port manually here in the real time. Everything should be opened officially through NSG. So always it is none. In the real world, when you create a VM, no public ports, absolutely. None always. That's what we follow. Why it is none? Because your NSG opened whatever the port it has to open. So if you are going with your specially creating your role for that VM, that should not happen. That will be keep your infrastructure under threat. We need to subnet for, and we have NSG associated with it to control it. That's enough. Now I'm creating the VM.
Subnet also region specific, correct?
Yes, yes. See, network itself is region specific. Subnet is inside of that. So ultimately that should be. If you look at the cost, guys, the same VM in India, it was costing 5 rupees 1 paisa. If I go to create an East US region, it is 3 rupees 57 paisa. So the resources cost will change region to region. They are not same. Depends on the demand and supply. The cost will vary. One region cost is not the same in the other region. The service is same. They differ. You have to keep in mind that all regions does not come with the same cost for the same services. Every region is a different cost we have it. Let this VM come online, then we'll start the actual scenarios with this. Then that is the end of the story. And the NSG part, I'll not repeat this again. I'll create the VMs with the open ports and all that because you know that how it works. Now,
I'm not able to listen.
yeah, actually, I'm waiting for that. Right. So now if I come back to here and talk to this VM, come on, it's not. Will it connect? Won't, because I did not introduce a rule for the RDP yet, because this is tagged there, right? RDP, anyone is okay. I'm going with it. Now I can make communication because the rule should come through the NSGs. That is in effect, you should get RDP prompt. It will take some time to add that rule. Yeah, it is correct on anyway. Right.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it should. Right. So now we will check the communication one to other side. Okay. And before and after we will see it. Let this get loaded. It's taking time to load. Right. So now if I go and check IP config, so 17.20.3.4 and if we are trying to ping 10.3.1.4, it won't ping because that is a different network, right? It is not pinging. So next I'll go with the 2.4 also in the other subnet of the network. It won't ping. The other direction, you come back to here. What is IP here? 172.22.3.4. It won't ping from here also. Any of the machine, doesn't matter. So ping 172.22.3.4. Not only this, it will not go through the RDP also because we don't have a trust yet. So 172.22.3.4. It won't. And either way, you come to here also and try to make the RDP to that other network machines. It won't communicate. 10.3.1.4. It won't happen anyway. By default, there is no communication between the networks to networks in the cloud. You have to authorize them. You have to authorize them to communicate. Okay, that's how it is. How do they authorize? Go to the networks. It was not pinging. It was not even making RDP and everything. We have seen that. We have verified that ping was also not going, and RDP is also will not go. Nothing is open between these networks. What I have to do now, I have to make them trusted. So sample VNet, go to here. There's something called peering. Two networks, you wanted to securely peer them in the background for your internal communication. Okay, click on add, peering the network. It is sample VNet to VNet 2. I'm going to sample VNet. Just name it is sample VNet 2. It won't accept this. Fine. 2 VNet 2. We are making the direction that way. Allow the traffic to remote network and allow the traffic forwarded from the remote network. So you have to make it allow everything and the peering link in a different direction. So this will come with the reverse order. Just the names, nothing else. So we are peering the network from sample VNet to VNet 2. So we are peering these two networks now in the background. Allow the traffic in both directions. Allow the traffic, allow the traffic. Add it, that's it. These two networks will authorize internally to have the communications. And it is only for you, not for all. It is securely have the communication internally. It's a great thing, basically.
So if we do the peering, rules will not applicable.
Rules also applicable. Why not? Peering is only something you're allowing to talk the networks. Then you have to allow, disallow, that's up to you. Now it should ping. See, it is pinging. And if I come back here also, it should ping. I'll come to the rules next. Rules will you have to define the rules what you don't want. So it is pinging, it'll reach the RDP and everything. Again, the question is good. You brought a very good question anyway. His question is like, okay, these are all talking. So how do I restrict? So I wanted to restrict the entire network to not to reach on the subnet 1.4 and 1.5 should not reach the entire subnet. So what should I do? I'll go to that inbound of that NSG here. I'll go to the inbound rule again. I'll define a rule. I'm going to define a rule. The rule should be 172. 22.0.0. Entire network should not come to that that network, the subnet. I'm blocking the entire network on the subnet level. So this way things will come into picture. So now I'm going to deny with the 170. Now tell me what happened. So I'll go with 170. 150 is allowing. No, it's okay. I guess I added my only IP. Can anyone tell will it block or it won't block? By looking at the rule set, I am actually blocking one network not to come inside this network. Which network? The 101.10.3.1.0. I'm blocking the entire network, not the subnet anymore. So in this case, will it reach or it won't reach? That is the first question.
It will be.
It
I
won't
think
reach.
it won't
Where?
reach. It won't reach.
Oh, it won't reach. Why? See, what you need to look at the source traffic. Source traffic is anyway coming in the top. No, this is any to any. Then this won't reach anyway. That's a good point. But now it will reach. Why? Because this is specifically restricted to one IP, right? So it is not
Yeah,
falling
yeah.
under that traffic. So these are all not falling under for this criteria. So it will reach directly. 170 also is fine. It will reach. So it is denied. So now if I go and try to talk to the VMs of that subnet, I cannot talk to anymore. 1.4, 1.5, both should not talk. So this way you can control. Communication is open. That doesn't mean that it will by default have it. You have to control them. Again, NSG will come into picture. What to talk, what not to talk. Clear, Vijay?
Yeah, yeah.
You are only asking that question, right? So it won't reach because you can build a rule to network, subnet, and one IP, one within the subnet also. Everything is possible, but you need to know what to cut off, what to allow. That's very specific requirement.
If we didn't create peering, it will not. It cannot communicate at all.
Yes, no communication in terms of network.
So that
Network
means
to
for
network,
region to region, we want to create peering. That is what you want to say.
right? Not only region. See, two different network can exist in the same region. It is possible. They won't communicate as long as you don't peer them. But the
Earlier
point,
we didn't create. After we create new region only, we create peering.
ah, see, peering can be anywhere. Network, it is two different network. That's enough. They won't talk. You have to peer them. I shown in a different region. Why? Because they don't. It doesn't matter where they are basically. Okay, you created two different networks. They can be anywhere around the globe. They can securely communicate for your infrastructure. That's how the virtual thing is working, and it is not for anyone. It is for you only. So globally, you can create the infrastructure. You can make them communicate in the backend private network. That's the beauty of cloud. See, and no need to go to east to US to form the peering to show this one. I can keep both the networks in the same region. Still, they won't talk. It's not a region specific, it's a network specific. One network will not talk to other network. That's simple as it is. Wherever it doesn't matter.
One subnet will not talk to another subnet. That's what you want to say.
No. Subnets will talk. Subnets in within one network, all subnets will talk by default, unless
Okay,
until
okay,
you block them.
okay,
One network will not talk to another network by default. That
okay,
is there.
okay, okay.
Okay. Okay then. So we are done with it, guys. If you understand this, we are done. NSG is finished. Any questions?
If you remove the specific your IP 60.243, whatever it is
Hmm.
there, 150 rule. If you remove
Hmm.
that, it will
Hmm.
not allow, right? The connection.
It will allow the connection because if I keep it any here, then it will reach 150 and then this was not rejecting previous case. It won't reject anymore on 1. Now 1.4 it is rejecting because it's able to reach now. But as you said, if you make it any here, then it's gone. I should not make this any, but if I make it, yes, it will make the communication. Then in that case, I have to bring this rule up below it. Then only it will. then only it will work. Clear? Now this won't reach anymore because this one is actually matching any previously it was not reaching, now it will reach. It should reach if that rule took into effect.
Fine.
Fine, right? Right. It should reach. Just taking time. Right, it is reaching. See, to not to happen that what I have to do, I have to bring this to 130 or 140, whatever it is. This way you control it. Creating the rule is one part, and placing is in the right order is another important thing. Okay, so you created rule means that doesn't mean that it is going to reach. It has to be placed in the right order. Now it will deny again because it is reachable. I guess it's clear now, right? Anyway, it takes some time to take into effect. You have to be a little patient on this one, guys, because it takes time to take the rule into effect, maybe up to 1 minute maximum, not more than that. Come on, really, it's taking this long? Revisit. It should work anyway for sure. Right, it started. Any questions on the NSG, guys? We are done. Absolutely. Let me know. We have the things ready now to discuss. If you have anything in your mind, just let me know. I'll show it straight away. No questions? Then stopping it.